Good morning, York. This is York's Morning News Tuesday, hour number 2. I'm Gary Sutton. WSBA News time is 7:10. Well, it's the official opening of the Democratic National Convention today in Charlotte for 2012. And a lot's doing, much like it was in the Republican National Convention last week. And we are analyzing it from every angle possible this week. And a guy who is very well equipped to do that, a former admiral, former congressman, former senatorial candidate, present dad, and very proud of it. We're talking about Joe Sestak this morning, who joins us again on York's Morning News. Joe, great to have you on.
Good to be back with you, Gary. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Joe, I want to ask you something in the beginning here. And it might be a question that I don't know if you've been asked this before, but what does it mean to be a Democrat right now as we start the Democratic Convention today? What, from your particular vantage point, what does that mean in a couple of words?
I think primarily today, and I think both parties have had this characteristic in the past, is that we kind of believe as Democrats, when it's done well, and I'm not arguing they're doing it well today, but Democratic parties are supposed to capture within it the best characteristic of America's character, of America's value, and that is that we honestly do believe that individual opportunity is something that we have to have checks and balances on our government so that they don't interfere with our individual opportunity. But we honestly do believe that individual freedom of opportunity can be enhanced. Our political liberty can be enhanced by government, and our economic security can be enhanced by our government. It's why presidents have established, as I've said before, railroads and roads. And so it's why I-76 was the very first superhighway in America. It's why the first public school was founded in Philadelphia in 1684. And the then governor of our Commonwealth of Pennsylvania said, the rich will pay a reasonable fee, the poor will attend for free, so all can contribute to the common weal. Those two values, freedom of opportunity and individual opportunity, can both be, one, protected from government, but at its best, government can be a tool for good. I'm not arguing it is executed well today, but
no, but I appreciate
those. We're pretty darn good.
No, I appreciate where you're standing. Now, I guess what we're looking for there for both parties and for both these weeks is what is that balance that we strike that is going to be conducive for all people in this country to prosper in the long run. I think that's kind of where you're naturally leading there with what you said.
Yep. Here's what it is. Look, when you look around, the majority of Americans, as in Pennsylvania, own or operate in a small business. And yet government, in the middle of this recession, reached out and salvaged Wall Street, where a lot of our savings and our pension plans were being invested. It reached out and saved General Motors. But what it didn't do is relieve small businessmen and women of regulations that were meant for larger corporations that have a human resources department in order to ensure that things aren't done amiss. And they didn't give the tax breaks, for example, zero capital gains tax to anyone who invests in a small business that creates jobs for 5 years, no capital gains tax. That's what I mean where government can truly assist at a challenging time. And so in this case, I think the president, as Mr. Romney, if they want to make the case, speak to where the working Pennsylvania, the working American is, small businesses. And that is the star running back of our economy for the future.
Joe, about a minute left in this segment. This election is going to offer a choice, according to Anthony Villagrosa the other day, between a candidate who wants to build an economy from the middle out versus a candidate who wants to build an economy from the top down. Doesn't the middle expand out naturally as the top down is able to invest money and take risk in the economy?
It did in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s.
What's different now?
In the last 20 years, it has not, because you know as well as I do that even before the recession happened, over 50% of Americans were earning less than they did 10, 15 years ago in real income. Those are working families were earning less. And so something's happened to where it's not just about a job, it's about a quality job. For some reason, even as the workforce has become more productive, they haven't shared. And no one has solved this problem yet in the gains that have come about from productivity. The wealth has gone to the top 10% of America. I don't begrudge them that. It's that somehow we've got to find out how those small businessmen and women get more of the gain in our productivity, because the facts and statistics show they haven't.
Let's come back and talk a little more about that, because I think that's a key element in this year's election campaign. Coming back with us, Joe Sestak. Back with Joe Sestak, former admiral, congressman, and present dad, which I know he's very proud of. Joe, I want to come back and just, because we're having this debate, and you and I are good at having debates in this country, and the debate about the idea that the money is not getting down to people. And yet, by the same token, I think there are two different schools of thought here. One, that there's only this one pie that everybody gets a slice out of, as opposed to many pies that people can actually go out there and make on their own. And I look around right now, for example, and I see jobs, and I say, okay, manufacturing, for example. I hear manufacturing people lamenting that there are people out there there's plenty of jobs, but people who are not skilled for those jobs right now. I see people out there and I say, is there room for other ideas? Is there room for people to get started with new ideas and innovation and entrepreneurial spirit in this country? As opposed to everybody's got to get a piece of this one pie. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I do. My take on it is, number one, that's why if you are going to do anything, focus on the Bill Gates in the garage, the small business woman, the entrepreneurship, because the pie can therefore grow. But number two, it also gets to education. I don't quite know the exact answer, but I do know it's a menu. The way we've been doing it hasn't worked as well as it should have. We have to step back and understand that we have to have people compete with Shanghai today, and that means just to be a welder. You no longer can go and just light the arc laser bead and after you flip your helmet lit down, like I had the welders in the Navy. We are importing Philadelphia Naval Shipyard 180 welders from outside Pennsylvania because we can't get the kids with the skills of computer science to design the bead on a computer before they lay it. That's how intricate being an artisan is today. So education actually matters there. And so third, then I step back and saying, do we care about the internet? So rural communities in Pennsylvania and other places, does government have the role so that people, doctors in rural communities can have rapid access to Children's Hospital, for example, downtown Philadelphia? So my take is it's a myriad of approaches. There's no party that has the right answer yet. But I do know this, that when I spoke earlier yesterday about our real estate industry, that there are over 10 million Americans today who are underwater with their mortgage. That is, as you know, their mortgage is more than they could sell their house, and so they can't move from L.A. to Pennsylvania for a job as they did in the past. So I think that you're not wrong at all, but I think there's a myriad of approaches, and that's the problem with both parties right now. It's my way or the highway.
Well, and
like everybody says, eat the cherry and swallow it with the stone inside as whole. It's good.
You know me well. You know me well enough. Yeah, you know me well enough. I don't look at things that way. I look at we're trying to find an answer here, and at the end of the whole thing is the answer that can we respect the American people to do what they do well, which is go out there and think and go out there and create and dust themselves off. We'll talk more about that tomorrow, and we'll take a look at Michelle Obama's speech tomorrow and also the speech of Mr. Castro. I'm looking forward to getting your take tomorrow morning, Joe. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Have a great day.
Have a great day. Thanks so much.